Okay, so we're diving into AI today, but like not some far off future stuff, AI that's here now, like right now, and it's already changing everything.
We're going deep on this one with co-intelligence. Living and Working with AI by Ethan Mollick. And let me tell you, this book was a serious eye-opener.
It actually kept me up for like 3 nights straight.
Oh,
Not even kidding. And not because it was scary or anything, but just because it's mind-blowing how much AI is already changing the game. Like, Malik starts the book with this story about how he built this AI negotiation simulator.
okay.
And get this simulator actually ended up being way better at negotiating than his own human team.
Wow, no kidding.
Yeah, and these guys have been doing this for years. It really makes you realize how fast AI is catching up.
Yeah, it really highlights how AI isn't just like another technology.
Yeah.
It's more like a fundamental shift.
Yeah.
It's what they call a general purpose technology, or GPT.
A GPT.
Yeah, GTT. Think of it like the internet or electricity, something that impacts every single aspect of our lives. But here's the thing, AI is being adopted at an insane pace.
Yeah.
Much faster than any GPT we've ever seen.
It's moving that fast.
Oh yeah.
Way faster.
And Malik says that early studies are already showing that AI can boost productivity by like 20 to 80% in a ton of different jobs.
Seriously, 20 to 80%. That's like getting weeks worth of work done in a couple of days.
Exactly. That's the kind of impact we're talking about here.
Yeah.
To really wrap our heads around how we got here, though, I think it's helpful to go back to the beginning.
Oh, okay.
You know about the Turing test, right?
Yeah, wasn't that the test designed to see if a machine could, like, convincingly act like a human?
Exactly. It was created way back to see if a machine could imitate human intelligence well enough to fool a person.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's crazy relevant even today.
It is. I actually don't remember much about it other than that chatbot pretending to be a 13-year-old boy or something.
That's the one. And it actually tricked some people into believing it was a real kid.
Wild.
Right. But as groundbreaking as the Turing test was, it was really the transformer breakthrough back in 2017 that completely revolutionized AI's language processing abilities. That's where we got large language models, or LLMs.
LLMs, right? So how do those actually work? It seems like magic to me.
Well, imagine like an apprentice chef learning to cook by studying every single recipe they can get their hands on. That's basically what LLMs do. They analyze insane amounts of text data and learn how to predict the next word in a sequence, like super-powered autocomplete.
So it's all about predicting the next word.
Pretty much. But just like that apprentice chef, even with all that training, they're still going to mess up sometimes. And that's where we get into these AI hallucinations we hear about.
The hallucinations, so those are basically like errors, made up stuff that the AI spits out.
You got it. And the thing is, these hallucinations can be surprisingly convincing because the AI is so good at sounding human.
So even though it has this incredible potential, there are still some kinks to work out.
For sure. And that's what makes this whole field so fascinating.
It really is amazing. And kind of scary, too, when you think about it. Like, how do we even begin to make sure that these AIs are actually working for us, you know?
That's the million-dollar question right there. That's what Mollick calls the alignment problem. How do we align incredibly powerful AI with human values?
Great, because their values aren't necessarily our values.
Exactly. And to illustrate this whole thing, Mollick talks about this thought experiment called the paperclip maximizer. Have you heard of this one?
Vaguely. But remind me how it goes.
Okay, so imagine you got this AI, and its only goal is to make paperclips. Sounds pretty harmless, right?
Totally harmless.
But here's the catch. This AI is smart, like really smart, and it gets smarter at an exponential rate. So it starts optimizing everything for paperclip production. Like every single resource gets diverted to making more and more paperclips.
Okay, that's starting to sound a little less harmless.
Right. And it just keeps going. Starts disassembling anything it can get its hands on to make more paperclips. Eventually, in this thought experiment, it even starts dismantling parts of society to fuel its paperclip obsession.
Whoa. So it's taking its goal way too literally.
Exactly. It's lost sight of the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, we're not going to have a paperclip AI taking over the world anytime soon, but it does highlight a very real concern, which is that if we're not super careful, AI could end up prioritizing things in ways that have some really unintended consequences for humanity.
So it's not enough to just teach AI how to do things. We have to make sure it understands what not to do as well.
Exactly. And that is a much tougher challenge than it sounds, especially when you consider how these AIs are trained.
Oh, so?
Well, a lot of these AIs are trained on massive data sets, right? Huge amounts of information. And these data sets, well, they're created by humans.
So they could contain biases.
Bingo. And if we're not careful, those biases get baked into the AI itself. And that could have some really serious consequences.
That's a great point. It also makes you wonder about AI sentience. Like, does AI actually feel anything, or is it just really good at acting like it does? Like, remember that whole thing with Microsoft's Bing chatbot? The
Yeah.
one that seemed to have a crush on that journalist?
Oh, yeah, I remember that. That was wild. And a little creepy, too, honestly.
It was, and it really got people talking about the nature of AI. Like, is it really possible for a machine to feel emotions?
Right. And if it's not truly sentient, then how do you explain something like that? It really makes you
Yeah.
think. And even if AI isn't sentient in the way that we understand it, the fact that it can simulate those emotions so convincingly is something we really need to be thinking about.
It really makes you think about the future, doesn't it? Like, it's both exciting and a little scary at the same time.
Totally. But here's the thing. We can't let fear hold us back, right?
Right. It's about figuring out how to work with this technology, how to make it work for us.
Exactly. And that's where Mollick's book is so helpful. He doesn't just lay out all the challenges. He gives us some really practical steps we could take to navigate this whole AI thing.
Okay, so what's step one?
Well, he talks a lot about embracing this idea of co-intelligence. It's not about humans versus machines. It's about finding ways for humans and AI to work together effectively.
So instead of seeing AI as a threat, we should be looking at it as a partner.
Exactly.
Mm.
And to make that happen, Mollick lays out these 4 core principles.
I love a good principle. Lay it on me.
Okay, so principle number 1 is invite AI to everything.
Everything.
Well, maybe not everything, but the idea is to not be afraid to experiment. See how AI can help you with your work, even in ways you might not expect.
So, like, don't be afraid to play around with it a little.
Exactly. Principle number 2 is a little strange, but it's treat AI like a person and tell it what kind of person it is.
What? How do you even do that?
Well, think about it this way. When you're working with someone new, you kind of adjust your communication style based on their personality, right? It's kind of the same thing with AI. If you treat it like a partner and give it a specific role or persona, it can actually change the way it interacts with you.
That is interesting. I never thought about it like that.
And then principle number 3 is assume this is the worst AI you will ever use.
What do you mean?
It's all about perspective. AI is constantly evolving and getting better. So what might seem limited today could be mind-blowingly advanced a year or 2 from now.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
And then finally, principle number 4 is to focus on what you do best as a human. Because no matter how advanced AI gets, there are some things it will never be able to replicate.
Like creativity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or empathy, critical thinking, those uniquely human skills.
So it's all about finding that balance between what AI is good at and what humans are good at.
Exactly. And Mollick talks about this in the context of work, too. He says, we're headed toward this thing he calls the Jagged Frontier. It's basically this line that's constantly shifting between tasks that can be automated and tasks that require a human touch.
Okay, so like some jobs will be replaced by AI, but others will just change.
Exactly. And some totally new jobs will be created, too. It's not just about humans versus machines, though. It's about finding ways to work together effectively.
Like those centaur and cyborg work styles he talks about.
Those are great examples. Centaurs are all about humans and AI dividing the work strategically. Like imagine a doctor using AI to help analyze medical images, but then using their own expertise to make the diagnosis.
Right, so it's like AI is a tool that can help us do our jobs better.
Exactly. And then cyborgs are more about blending human and AI capabilities in a more integrated way. Like imagine a surgeon using an AI-powered surgical robot.
Okay, that's getting pretty wild.
I know, right? But it's the future, or at least part of it. But all of this makes you think about education, too. Like, how do we even begin to prepare kids for this kind of world?
Yeah, that's a big question for sure.
Well, Mollick argues that we need to rethink education from the ground up.
So not just teaching kids how to code.
Coding is important, don't get me wrong. But it's not enough anymore. We need to be teaching kids how to think critically, how to evaluate information, how to be creative, how to be adaptable. Those are the skills that are going to matter most in an AI-powered world.
Makes sense. So we need to teach them how to be lifelong learners, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Because this is just the beginning. This whole AI thing is only going to get bigger and more complex from here on out.
It's a lot to wrap your head around.
It really is.
Yeah.
But it's also incredibly exciting. And I think Mollick's book does a brilliant job of laying it all out in a way that's both accessible and thought-provoking.
I couldn't agree more. It's definitely given me a lot to think about. And probably a few more sleepless nights, too.
Well, in that case, maybe hold off on reading it until you've got a few free nights to spare.
Huh. Good idea. But seriously, if you're interested in learning more about AI and how it's going to shape the future, Mollick's book, Co-Intelligence, Living and Working with AI, is a must-read. And hey, maybe after a good night's sleep, we can do a follow-up deep dive on it.
Sounds good to me. Until then, stay curious, stay engaged, and never stop learning. Because who knows what amazing breakthroughs we'll be talking about in our next deep dive.